uh, increase in juveniles today. Because I literally expect one of them to come up before a judge and say, I've been taught that the government shouldn't impose any particular morality on me, so I shoplifted. So what? You know, what's in it for me? I'm an autonomous moral decision maker.
It was a learning experience.
That's right. I was acting on it. In fact, that's one of their codes. You know, you must act on the principle. You must shake through the 7 points of values clarification. Louis Rath actually came up with that term, and way back they had an 8-year study, and Ralph Tyler, who was another Carnegie person, and Hilda Tamba, the Estonian change agent, all got together and, you know, developed this sort of thing. And Sidney Simon would get on it, and later they call it values clarification in schools, situation ethics. And they wiped out God. You can't pray to God, but yet they're ramming this philosophy down these kids' throats now. And this is part of the whole Graham, Adorno, fracture the society, create the generation gap, unfreeze the values, change them, refreeze them into the sort of new age, they would call it today, movement. And it's all part of the synthesis towards a world government. It's not just government, like Barry Goldwater said, and with no apologies. He says what they want, he's talking about trilaterals. He says it's not just social, political, economic control. They want ecclesiastical control as well.
Yes.
You have to have a one world religion, you know, where you worship Mother Gaia, the earth, instead of God.
Yes, that's true. You know, this is incredible. I'm going to ask you a question, point blank here, and I want you to give me an honest answer, because there's so many people out there who want to know the answer to this. I know the answer because I've been studying this for many, many years, and the answer will surprise many people. Is this a Jewish conspiracy?
No, and what I tell people when they say is it a Jewish conspiracy, I've said, look, I'm sure there are Jews, so-called Christians, Buddhists, and whatnot. You would have to have that in any massive worldwide plan.
Yes.
But when the names like Rockefeller come up, he wasn't. J.P. Morgan wasn't. Andrew Carnegie wasn't. You say, but it's the Rothschilds, isn't it? I say, okay, well, who are the Rothschilds? They're primarily associated with the Bank of England. Where did the Bank of England get its money from? They got their money primarily from people with a House of Orange in the prior to the establishment of the Bank of Amsterdam in the 1600s, and they would be what you would call today, quote, liberal humanist. I mean, it's not the same, but it's basically the same. That's where their money comes from. So is this a liberal Protestant conspiracy? No. Before them were the Knights Templar, who were sort of renegade Catholics. Does that mean it's a renegade Catholic conspiracy? No. You can go back and back and back to this thing.
Yes, absolutely. In fact, we've traced the thread of this all the way back to the dawn of the history of man.
Sure.
When certain people learned that hoarding knowledge and using that to control other people and creating religions with two basic dogmas or messages, really, one esoteric and one exoteric, that they could rule those peoples. And it's been carried on to this present day through secret societies and organizations and literary guilds and you name it, but specifically in the brotherhoods and the fraternal organizations and the secret societies, it has just thrived. But today it's not really a conspiracy in secret. It's all out in the open. They are so arrogant and so convinced of their invincibility that nothing is hidden today.
No, that was part of the plan. It's sort of like Rhodes' conspiracy was to develop a system to get people in place so they wouldn't have to have a conspiracy down the road. Same thing with Alice Bailey and her works. She used the term many, many years ago. She was a leading occultist in the first half of the century. She would specifically over and over again talk about points of light connected to service in a, quote, new world order. Now, where have we heard that recently? This goes way, way back. Alexander Hamilton and George Washington wrote in those terms. Alexander was I got a letter. He's trying to persuade Washington to run for the presidency, and he's saying the point of light in which I see you, so forth and so on. And Washington writes back to him, yes, the point of light, and so which I see myself, and blah, blah, blah. And it goes back to Skull and Bones, that whole track back through the Aryan races and so on. In fact, I think they found some swastikas in the vault there at Yale where they were.
Well, the swastika is an old symbol for the worship of the sun,
sure.
Which is the representation, actually, of Lucifer, the intellect, the light. The fire that was thrown to earth, which was given as a gift to man by Prometheus, and through the use of fire, they've developed knowledge and intellect and industry, and with the use of that, man himself shall become God.
Right.
That's the whole thread of I've been teaching that for years to people who will listen to try to help them understand who and what their enemy is and why, without trying to tell them, what they themselves should believe. But everybody's got to understand that you cannot ignore the religious structure and the belief structure and the philosophy of those who are trying to destroy us.
Right. And what's interesting is now people, even on the left, seem to be catching on. There's a fellow who writes for The Nation, a sort of leftist magazine. He's nationally syndicated, Alexander Cockburn. And he recently wrote, quote, "There is an emerging outline of world government composed of international monetary funds, central banks of leading industrial nations. National sovereignty is being eroded, most recently by the GATT Treaty. Liberties are under threat, as now displayed by Clinton's anti-terrorism package. Politics in America are so decayed, so rotted out, that the surprise is not that there are patriot militias, but that there are not more of them," end quote. Now, that's a leftist writing that. And when you get on the inside, I mean, not your opinion, my opinion, or some official, but individuals like, there's one, Terry Gallinoy, who wrote Charge It, Inside the Credit Card Conspiracy. Now, this fellow is former director of communications at the National Bank Americard, later Visa, a very respected person. And in there he said, quote, "George Orwell's notorious character, Big Brother, will actually turn out to be Big Banker, all-seeing, all-knowing, all-controlling, capable of destroying any resistance. Where they're taking you is to a totally different kind of economic society in which you will have little or no privacy, in which your income and everything you own will be under their control. You will be a profitable, dependable, fiscally sound, paid-up citizen, even if they have to destroy your freedom and even your life to do it," end quote. Now, that's on the inside.
It'll be an economic system of cashless debt changed to a computer in an economic slavery for life.
And the mark of the beast.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. Wow. Well, this is incredible, and I knew it was going to be a memorable, wonderful broadcast that would certainly open people's eyes and lead them on the road to educating and awakening. But I tell you the truth, did not quite anticipate that it would be so good. Now, we talked about possibly doing 2 nights. How do you feel?
I think I better rest my throat. I don't know if it's up to another. I had throat surgery, so I think I better rest it.
Well, that's why I'm asking you, because I knew that. You sound much better tonight than when we spoke on the phone and arranged for this broadcast. But we certainly don't want to push you into injuring yourself again. I would like to have you back on the Hour of the Time at some date in the near future, and you have my phone number. I hope when you feel a little better, you'll call me and we can get you back on here, folks. If you'd like to get some of Dr. Cuddy's books, I highly recommend them, and I don't get a penny from any of these books. I want you to get them because they will help open your eyes, help lead you to an awakening that might possibly help us save our freedom. 800